Good morning, and welcome to the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. With the always evolving world of cyber threats and defense, you need a source you can trust. FBI retired Special Agent Darren Mott guides you through today's intricate cyber landscape and brings you the latest headlines and insights and what it means to you. Let's dive into today's cyber news.
Good morning, friends. It is Monday, November 18th, 2024. This is the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. I'm your host, retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Darren Mott, and I thank you for taking the time to download, listen to the podcast. A little later today than expected. A lot of things happen when I usually record this, so I had to kind of do this a little late, but you may be catching this on Tuesday, but let's be honest, the news is still news, and so because there's a lot of stuff going on in cyber world, so as always, if you kind of like what you hear, please pass the information to others who may need some of it. Or subscribe, do all the algorithm things that make it happen, so I can continue to do this more regularly as I want. So, as you know, I want to do. Let's get right into it because I got a bunch of tabs open here, and I can't promise I'll get to them all. But some of it's good news, some of it's bad news, some of it's no kidding news. First, from CyBUr.com. This is Stephanie Shepard reporting. This is from the good news file. Helix Darknet Bitcoin Mixer will fork over $750 million, serve time for processing 1 million plus transactions. The operator of Helix, a darknet Bitcoin cryptocurrency laundering service once favored by online drug dealers worldwide, is ordered to forfeit more than $750 million in funds and assets as part of a 3-year prison sentence. The fact that he has $750 million to forfeit is unreal, but that's a different story for a different time. 41-year-old Larry Dean Harmon of Akron, Ohio, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for running the Helix crypto mixing operation in Washington, D.C. courts on Friday. Federal prosecutors say Harmon, who was highly sought after by darknet drug lords, laundered more than $311 million worth of Bitcoin for customers, both globally and in the D.C. area, between 2014 and 2017. Helix operated what is commonly referred to as a mixer or a tumbler of the convertible virtual currency Bitcoin, charging customers to send Bitcoin to a designated address in a manner designed to conceal and obfuscate the source or owner of the Bitcoin, prosecutors said. Harmon is said to have conducted over 1,225,000 transactions using multiple crypto wallet addresses associated with the operation. Helix was one of the most popular mixing services on the darknet and was highly sought after by online drug dealers who needed to launder their illicit proceeds, said the Department of Justice. So, I mean, there's more to this if you want to read more of it. The millions of dollars was equivalent to approximately 354,468 Bitcoins at the time of each transaction, for which he would keep a portion of the process of the proceeds. So clearly it was good business. If he was smart, he would have not lived in the United States because it's easier to track, but you know, criminals are stupid. But hey, someone going to jail for doing bad stuff, so thumbs up to all of that. Darkreading.com. Akira ransomware racks up 30 plus victims in a single day. Well, that is bad, but it is impressive. Also, I must say, Akira Ransomware Group has updated its data leak website on November 13th through 14th, listing more than 30 of its latest victims, the highest single day total since the gang first began its malicious operations in March of last year. The group spares no one, targeting a variety of industries globally and operating as a ransomware as a service model, stealing sensitive data before encrypting it. 25 of the victims were in the United States, 2 are from Canada, and the remaining originate from Uruguay, Denmark, Germany, the UK, Sweden, the Czech Republic, and Nigeria. The researchers at CyBUr found that the business services sector was most frequently targeted by the group, with 10 of the most recent victims belonging to that industry. Other impacted industries include manufacturing, construction, retail, technology, education, and critical infrastructure. Divided into 5 sections, the Akira ransomware blog has both leaks and news sections. The site indicates that 3 victims refused to pay the ransom, prompting the group's release of their data. As mass ransomware targeting is out of character for Akira, it may be indicative of a rising trend for ransomware groups to escalate their operations and exert pressure through mass disclosures. Not surprising. This is how ransomware guys are going to do it. They're going to get whoever they can get, and then they're, either you pay them or they're going to release your data. So it's very important, obviously, for businesses to recognize that this and business email compromise are probably the 2 biggest potential business risks to any organization. Now, there's other problems, certainly, but these are the 2 that are going to cause you the biggest problem, cost you the most money. But again, ransomware is a fraction of what business email compromise does. So, but it gets all the news because it sounds scary, but there are ways to protect against it. You just got to kind of do the right things and seek help where you can. The bad guys don't care who you are, what industry you're in. If they can get to you, if they can get into your network, this is what they will do. Cyberscoop.com. Again, this is another one from the Good News File. This is Tim Starks reporting. Alleged Russian Phobos ransomware administrator extradited to the U.S. and in custody. Evgeny Pitsin is said to have helped operate a ransomware as a service organization that extorted millions from more than 1,000 victims, including schools and hospitals. A Russian man who allegedly served as an administrator of the Phobos ransomware that extorted millions of dollars from more than 1,000 victims is in U.S. custody. South Korea extradited Evgeny Pitsin, 42, to the United States for a court appearance November 4th, according to a news release about an unsealed 13-count indictment. The Phobos ransomware has extorted over $16 million from more than 1,000 victims worldwide, including schools, hospitals, government agencies, and large corporations. The Justice Department is committed to leveraging the full range of our international partnerships to combat the threats posed by ransomware like Phobos, said Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco. Evgeny Pitsin allegedly extorted millions of dollars of ransom payments from thousands of victims and now faces justice in the United States thanks to the hard work and ingenuity of law enforcement agencies around the world, from the Republic of Korea to Japan to Europe, which is not a country, but okay, and finally to Baltimore, Maryland. So, thumbs up, someone got arrested, someone is probably going to go to jail, and the best part is this is a Russian actor. They are hard to get. Now, he obviously was arrested because he was in South Korea. So this is where you get the bad guys, is when they travel, which is why working with your foreign partners is important, so that you know when they travel, and then you can then get them when they go. From cyberscoop.com, Greg Otto reporting, HackerOne urges the U.S. to advocate for research protection in UN cybercrime treaty. Now, the fact that the UN is doing a cybercrime treaty should be enough for me to just ignore this article, but I figured the headline was interesting. I thought I'd take a look at it. The company responsible for bug bounty platforms warns in a letter to top U.S. officials that the treaty's vague language could undermine ethical security research. Wow. So what you're saying then is that a bunch of dumb politicians and bureaucrats put together a cybersecurity treaty that's going to cause problems because they don't know what they're talking about. Well, I'm shocked. HackerOne has expressed serious concerns over the recently proposed UN Convention Against Cybercrime, which the company says lacks strong protections for good faith security researchers. I agree with that if that's the case. In an open letter to Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and the United States Agency for International Development Administrator Samantha Power, Alona Cohen, Chief Legal and Policy Officer for HackerOne, highlighted the role independent security has in the industry and laments the treaty's failure to align with U.S. policies that shield good faith efforts from prosecution. What we're talking about here is researchers who do research on intrusions and things like that, and may end up doing something that appears to be illegal in some other country, even though it's for research purposes. So not having that protection makes the research to be able to create intelligence to provide to everyone about what's going on in cyber world is a problem. That's me saying that. That's not from the article, because that would be a poorly written article. But anyway, while the convention aims to enhance international collaboration against cybercriminals, thumbs up to that, Cohen writes that its vague terminology could inadvertently suppress ethical research activities. Nations with underdeveloped cybercrime laws might adopt the treaty's language, potentially leading to increased risk for researchers, especially those operating in authoritarian regimes. Cohen warns that without explicit protection, countries may misapply the treaty, squeezing the space for legitimate security work. And that is the problem. And that part of that is because, let's be honest, whoever drafted this, and I haven't read the treaty, probably really don't know what they're doing necessarily. It may sound good. They may think they know what they're doing, but it's going to suck. So again, bureaucrats getting in the way of good work, and that's not good. From the Hey, be on the lookout file, Bill Tolas for Bleeping Computer. Chinese hackers exploit Fortinet VPN 0-day to steal credentials. That's the amazing thing, right? I was listening to Dr. Chase Cunningham, who has a fantastic podcast, probably even better than this one, called the Zero Trust podcast, Dr. Zero Trust podcast. So, I mean, the problem here is Fortinet is a huge cybersecurity company, yet they keep having these problems with 0 days on their technology. The problem, I can't necessarily blame them, because there's a lot of code that goes into writing what it is that they do, but they should do better. But anyway, that's a different story for a different day. So from this article, Chinese threat actors use a custom post-exploitation toolkit named Deep Data to exploit a 0-day vulnerability in Fortinet's FortiClient Windows VPN client that steals credentials. The 0-day allows the threat actors to dump the credentials from memory after the user authenticated with the VPN device. Velocity researchers report that they discovered this flaw earlier this summer and reported it to Fortinet, but here is the problem. The issue remains unfixed. No CVE has been assigned to it. So this is a huge problem because people don't know it exists because there's no CVE to even report here's what it is, and Fortinet hasn't tried to fix it. Velocity reported this vulnerability to Fortinet on July 18th, and Fortinet acknowledged the issue on July 24th, explains the report from Velocity. At the time of the writing, this issue remains unresolved, and Velocity is not aware of the assigned CVE number. The attacks are conducted by Chinese hackers named Brazen Bamboo, known for developing and deploying advanced malware families targeting Windows, Mac OS, iOS, and Android systems in surveillance operations. So I guess if you're Linux, you're good, but everybody else has got a problem. Velocity explains that the threat actors utilize numerous malware as part of their attacks, including the Light Spy and Deep Post malware. Here's a problem. These are Chinese threat actors, meaning they're nation-state oriented, meaning they have the full authority and funding and everything of the Chinese government. They can do pretty much what they want. If you do not have significant defenses in place to protect against these actors, they will get into your system. And they're now using Fortinet, which is used by thousands and thousands of companies, to be able to get even more information. So this is bad for Fortinet. It's bad for people who use Fortinet. And the problem is, not enough people know it, right? No one's sharing this intelligence. Now, hopefully, over the course of the next week, a CVE will be reported and there'll be a fix and all that stuff. But this is not good. Not good if you got Fortinet. So be aware of this. There's nothing you can do other than restrict VPN access and monitor for unusual login activity. But the problem is small companies don't have anybody to monitor this stuff. So it's a huge problem. There's bad stuff coming from this. Mark my words. Hacker News. Gmail's new shielded email feature lets users create aliases for email privacy. Now this, if it's true, which I assume it is great, but let's talk about it. Google appears to be readying a new feature called shielded email that allows users to create email aliases when signing up for online services to better combat spam. The feature was first reported by Andrew Authority last week following a teardown of the latest version of the Google Play services for Android. The idea is to create unique single-use email addresses that forward the messages to the associated primary account, thereby preventing the need for providing a real email address when filling out forms or registering for new services online. The idea of email aliases for improved privacy is not new. Back in 2021, Apple introduced a similar feature called Hide My Email that allows iCloud Plus subscribers to generate random burner email addresses. It can also be used to set up new ones in Safari Mail and Apple Mail, wherever email addresses are required. This is not new. I mean, this goes back way before 2021. There's plenty of places that you can get burner emails if you look, but people just don't use it enough. And the reason you do it is because if you're just signing up because you need an account somewhere and you know they're going to sell your data, your information, just sign up with a bogus email and it won't come to you. It'll kind of go into a spam thing and you'll never see it. But anyway, there's other providers like Bitwarden and DuckDuckGo have also released analogous features. It's worth noting that Google previously rolled out the ability for users to create virtual card numbers to pay online and apps, but it's currently limited to eligible cards in the US only. So hopefully this comes to... sorry about that. If I sneezed and you heard that, my apologies, but it kind of came on all of a sudden. But hopefully this is something Google puts out that's easy and free to use because people need this. It's a valuable thing. All right, a couple of quick ones. I'm not going to get into this too deeply. From securityaffairs.com, foreign adversaries hacked the email communications of the Library of Congress. Okay, not a surprise. The government agency got compromised. Big whoop. Yeah, articles in the show notes if you want to read it. I'm just saying that because, let's be honest, the government keeps telling the industry what they need to do to protect their data, and they can't do the right thing themselves. There was an article I was going to read about how to deal with scam phone calls, only because I get like tons of them a day. I'm not going to talk about it. It's from We Live Security, and it's called What is Scam Likely? Putting the Phone Down on Unwanted Calls. You can read it if you want. Basically, it talks about how to kind of stay ahead of phone scammers because they are all over the freaking place. But it's there if you want to read it. With that, I'm going to let you go for the rest of your day so I can keep this under 15 minutes. Thanks as always for taking the time to listen. Know that knowledge is protection. If we can understand the threats targeting us, we can assess our risk, proceed wisely. I appreciate, again, the opportunity to... why is that not playing? Okay. Nope. There we go. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. I was going to play some sounds here, but it's not working, so we're going to skip on that. Oh, there we go. There it is. Sorry, I had a wrong button posted. That's a big goof I made. So, anywho, enjoy the rest of your day. We will talk again soon. Have a good one.